Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on cyber-espionage,
Mm.
the cloak and dagger stuff, specifically a group called Silk Typhoon.
Ah, Silk Typhoon.
Yeah, they've been making some noise,
Yeah.
some pretty high-profile attacks. But, and here's where it gets interesting, they're changing things up, changing their strategy in a way that could have big consequences for everyone.
Yeah, it's not just about going after, individual companies or organizations anymore. We're
Yeah.
seeing them shift towards something much bigger,
Okay.
much more insidious, really. They're going after IT supply chains.
IT supply chains. So instead of, targeting one company at a time, they're hitting the companies that provide services to hundreds or even thousands of other businesses.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this is significant for a few reasons.
Okay.
One, it gives them massive reach. By compromising a single IT provider, they basically get access to a whole network of systems,
Right.
all interconnected. It's like finding a master key that unlocks doors to a whole city.
That's a pretty scary thought.
Yeah.
But beyond just the sheer number of potential victims, what makes this supply chain approach so dangerous?
Well, it's all about stealth and persistence. IT providers are inherently trusted, right?
Right.
They have legitimate access to their clients' systems, all their data.
Of course.
And by hijacking that trust, Silk Typhoon can basically operate in the shadows. Makes their activities very hard to detect.
So they're hiding in plain sight,
Mm-hmm.
using the IT provider as a Trojan horse to get into their targets.
Exactly. And because their access comes with this veneer of legitimacy,
Right.
they can stay embedded in those systems for a long time, quietly taking data and setting the stage for future attacks.
I see. So it's a long game they're playing. It's really like they've figured out a way to turn the very systems we built to protect us against them. They're turning those systems against us.
Right.
It's pretty clever. But how are they actually doing this? What are the tactics that we're talking about?
Well, they're using a mix of, some old school methods,
Yes.
but also some new, more sophisticated techniques.
Okay.
So, for example, we see them going through public resources like GitHub,
Uh-huh.
looking for leaked credentials, which is a really good reminder of just how much sensitive information is just out there.
It's sitting out there, yeah.
Online for anyone to find.
Carelessly exposed.
Exactly. And they're also, they're doing this thing called password spraying.
Password spraying.
Yeah, so they basically just try common passwords across a huge number of accounts. It's a reminder that even simple security oversights can really come back to bite you.
It's kind of unbelievable how easy it can be for these groups to find and exploit those vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
You would think that in this day and age we'd be better at that.
You'd think, right?
But it's not just the simple stuff, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're evolving right along with the technology, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've moved beyond those traditional on-premises networks,
Right.
and they're increasingly focusing on cloud environments.
So they're in the cloud.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're seeing them steal administrator credentials for cloud platforms, compromise applications that are cloud-based. They're even abusing things like Oath.
Okay, I gotta admit, I don't really know what Oath is.
Sure.
Can you explain that and why it would be such an attractive target?
Yeah. So imagine you're using something like Spotify,
Uh-huh.
and you want to connect it to your Facebook account.
Right, yeah.
Oath is what lets you do that without having to make a whole separate Spotify login.
Okay.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
But it also creates this potential vulnerability because if someone gets into your Facebook account, they might be able to get into your connected Spotify account and potentially other apps too.
Wow. So it's a chain reaction. One compromised account can lead to a whole bunch of security breaches all over the place.
That's the danger, yeah. And Silk Typhoon is very good at exploiting these kinds of vulnerabilities.
So, I mean, what can we do? I
Yeah.
mean, this is kind of scary stuff.
Well,
We've got them lurking in the cloud. They're using these sort of backdoor methods to get in. I mean, this isn't just about stealing data anymore. It sounds like it's about really compromising entire systems, maybe even critical infrastructure. I mean, the implications are huge here.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about potentially impacting national security, the economy, public safety.
Right.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of things to think about, we all worry about our data being compromised. It's a fact of life these days.
Yeah.
But there are companies out there that are working to protect us, working to provide some peace of mind.
For sure.
And I think one company that's doing a particularly good job of that is Stonefly.
Oh, Stonefly, yeah.
They're a leader in enterprise storage,
Yeah.
backup and disaster recovery, AI storage, cloud solutions, really the whole package.
Yep.
And importantly, if you're looking for really secure, truly ransomware-proof storage, Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage solutions.
That's right.
And that means, even if hackers somehow get into your network, your data is going to be safe.
That's huge peace of mind.
It is.
Ah,
So yeah, if you're interested in learning more,
definitely.
check out stonefly.com, or you can contact sales@stonefly.com to schedule a demo, and they'll walk you through how Stonefly can help you keep your data secure.
So getting back to Silk Typhoon, I mean, we've seen them exploiting these vulnerabilities, Ivanti, Palo Alto networks, Citrix, just to name a few. I mean, what are we learning from this? What should people be taking away?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that it's not just about these specific flaws.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the systemic risk of IT supply chains. We need to think about security in a more comprehensive way.
So it's not enough to just patch these specific vulnerabilities.
No, it's about continuous patching, robust vulnerability management.
Yeah. We have to rethink how we approach trust in this digital world.
Trust but verify.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't just assume that because a company is well known, they've got a good reputation,
Right.
that automatically means they're secure.
Nobody's immune.
Absolutely. And speaking of targets,
Mhm.
one of the most interesting things about Silk Typhoon is that they're using this thing called covert network.
Oh yeah, covert network.
That sounds pretty ominous. What exactly is that?
It's basically a network of compromised devices.
Okay.
Servers, routers, even things like network attached storage, and they use it as a launching pad and cover for their attacks.
So they're taking over these devices, turning them into their own little army of zombie machines.
Yeah, pretty much. And that highlights this crucial point. Every device on your network,
Uh-huh.
it's a potential entry point for attackers.
Oh, wow.
We can't just rely on that old perimeter security model anymore.
Okay, yeah.
We have to adopt this zero trust approach. Every device, every user is treated as a potential threat.
So it's not just about protecting your servers and your workstations anymore. It's every single thing connected to the network needs to be secured.
Every single thing.
Printers, security cameras,
Yep.
smart thermostats.
Anything that can connect.
Wow. I mean, that is a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like the threat landscape is constantly shifting,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to keep up.
It is. It is. But that's why it's so important to have, really strong security measures in place.
Right.
And, for organizations that really value their data and they want to protect it from, even these sophisticated threats.
Yeah.
Stonefly's air-gapped and immutable storage solutions offer a level of security that's really unmatched in the industry.
Right.
Contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo and learn more about how they can help you protect that critical data.
They've got you covered.
They do. Yeah, it can be. But, and understanding the threat is really the first step to mitigating it.
That's true. So we've talked about how Silk Typhoon is evolving. We've talked about some of the techniques they're using. But what's the motivation behind all this? I mean, what are they after?
Well, it seems like their primary objective is espionage.
Espionage, okay.
They're looking for sensitive information, intellectual property, anything that'll give them a strategic advantage.
And it's not just governments they're going after anymore, right? We're seeing them target businesses, research institutions, even nonprofits.
Absolutely. Anyone with valuable data or strategic insights is fair game. And that's another reason the shift to IT supply chains is so worrying. It gives them access to a much broader range of victims, many of whom might not have the resources or the know-how to really defend themselves against these kinds of attacks.
It's like they're casting a wider net, just trying to scoop up as much valuable information as possible. But it's not just about the data they steal directly, is it?
No, it's not. By compromising these supply chains, they can plant backdoors, manipulate software, even disrupt critical infrastructure.
So the potential impact is huge. This isn't just about stealing trade secrets or getting a leg up on the competition. We could be talking about things that affect national security, the economy, even public safety.
You're exactly right. These are nation-state actors with a lot of resources, very sophisticated tools. And the fact that they keep changing their tactics tells us they're not going anywhere.
So what can we do? It feels like we're up against this invisible enemy that's always a step ahead. Is there any hope?
There's always hope. The more we know about these threats, the better we'll be able to protect ourselves. Knowledge is really our best weapon here.
Okay, so let's talk strategy. I mean, what are some things that organizations can do to improve their security to be more proactive about this?
Well, first, we got to move beyond that old perimeter-based security model. It's not enough to just build a wall around your network and hope for the best.
Right. Because as we've seen with Typhoon, attackers are finding ways to get past those perimeter defenses, often by taking advantage of these trusted relationships within the supply chain.
Exactly. We have to adopt a zero trust approach where every single device and every single user is treated as a potential threat.
Okay.
That means we need strong authentication measures like multi-factor authentication, really verifying who people are before they're given access to anything
No,
sensitive.
no more just relying on a username and password.
Passwords are too easy to compromise these days. Multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security. It requires users to provide some other kind of verification, like a code from an app on their phone, maybe a biometric scan.
Right. Makes sense. What else can organizations do to really bolster their defenses?
Network segmentation, it's really important.
Okay.
By dividing your network into these smaller, isolated segments, you can limit the damage if an attacker gets into one part of the system.
So it's like containing a fire, right? If one room catches fire, you want to make sure it doesn't spread to the whole building.
Exactly. And speaking of containment, intrusion detection, and prevention systems, those are really crucial for spotting and stopping malicious activity within your network.
Okay.
They monitor traffic for suspicious patterns, and they can block or flag potential threats automatically.
So they're like digital security guards, always on patrol, looking for anything out of the ordinary.
That's a good way to put it. But technology alone isn't enough. We also have to address the human element.
Right. Because as we all know, even the most sophisticated security system can be bypassed if someone falls for a phishing scam or accidentally downloads some malware.
That's right. Security awareness training is absolutely essential, and it has to be more than just, a once-a-year thing to check a box.
Yeah, right.
It's got to be ongoing, really engage people, help them understand the real-world risks.
So less about checking boxes and more about creating a real culture of security where everybody feels empowered and understands their role in protecting information.
Exactly. Encourage people to report anything suspicious, even if it seems small. Create an environment where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities, not something to be punished. Because the best security in the world is no good if people aren't using it properly.
That's a really good point. And let's not forget about having a good incident response plan. Because no matter how good your security is, there's always a chance that something could happen, something could go wrong.
Absolutely. A well-rehearsed incident response plan can make all the difference. It's about being prepared. Who to contact, what steps to take, how to communicate during a crisis.
Right.
And a big part of that is having reliable backups. If the worst happens and your systems are compromised, your backups could be the only thing that saves you.
That's where Stonefly comes in again, right? I mean, for those listeners who are really serious about protecting their data, Stonefly offers those air-gapped and immutable storage solutions.
That's right.
So your backups are physically isolated and tamper-proof.
Right. Even if hackers get into your network, your data is safe.
Air-gapped storage means your data is physically disconnected from your network.
Right. Inaccessible to hackers.
And immutable storage means that the data can't be changed or deleted.
Even by administrators, so it guarantees integrity and recoverability.
So it's like having a fortress for your data, protected from pretty much anything.
You got it. And in today's world, that peace of mind is, well, it's priceless.
I agree. So to learn more about Stonefly's air-gapped and immutable storage solutions, go to stonefly.com or contact their sales team directly at sales@stonefly.com to set up a demo. They'd be happy to walk you through how Stonefly can help protect your critical data. So we've covered a lot today. The evolving tactics of Typhoon, the importance of this layered approach to security. But one question that keeps coming back to me is, what does all this mean for the future of cybersecurity?
Yeah.
I mean, if even nation-state actors like Typhoon are constantly changing things up, what does that mean for the rest of us?
It means we have to keep evolving, too. We can't afford to stand still.
So it's like an arms race, but instead of weapons, we're talking about code, data, and digital defenses.
And the stakes are just as high because in this digital world, information is power.
And those who control the information, well, they control the future. That's a pretty sobering thought.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the stakes have never been higher. So given this rapidly evolving threat landscape, What can organizations do to stay ahead? I mean, what does it really take to win this digital arms race?
Well, it's not really about winning any one battle. It's about building a security posture that can adapt, evolve as the threats change.
That's an ongoing process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Assessment, improvement, vigilance, it never ends, really.
So where do we even begin?
Well, I'd say the first step is to understand your own vulnerabilities.
Oh,
What are your weaknesses?
right.
Conduct a thorough risk assessment.
Mm.
What are your most critical assets? What are the threats you're facing? Where are the gaps in your security right now?
So know yourself, know your enemy, know the battlefield.
Exactly. And once you have a good understanding of your risk profile, you can start to develop a really comprehensive security strategy.
And that strategy needs to be multi-layered. It has to address both the technical and the human factors.
We've talked about some of the technical solutions like multi-factor authentication and network segmentation, intrusion detection systems. But what about the human side? How can we get employees to be, part of the solution, not part of the problem?
Yeah, security awareness training is so important, but it can't just be, a check the box kind of thing once a year.
Right.
It needs to be ongoing, engage people, help them really understand what these threats mean in the real world.
So less about checking boxes and more about creating a culture of security where everybody understands they have a role to play.
Exactly. Encourage people to report suspicious activity. Even if it seems small, it could be important.
Right.
Create a culture where, if somebody makes a mistake, it's a learning opportunity, not something to be punished. Because even the best security system in the world is useless if people aren't using it properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the incident response plan, because no matter how good your security is, there's always a chance that something could slip through.
That's right. A well-rehearsed incident response plan, that can be the difference between a minor inconvenience and a total disaster.
Right.
It's about being prepared. Know who to call, what steps to take, how to communicate effectively when something goes wrong.
Yeah, and having good backups. I mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be a key part of any plan, right? Because even if the worst happens and your systems are compromised, you can at least recover your data, get back up and running.
Absolutely. And that's why I always recommend solutions like Stonefly's air-gapped and immutable storage.
Yeah,
It's the ultimate insurance policy for your data.
Mhm.
It ensures that it's safe and recoverable even in the face of those really sophisticated cyber attacks.
If you're looking for that level of protection, definitely check out Stonefly. You can visit their website at stonefly.com or contact their sales team directly at sales@stonefly.com to schedule a demo. They'll be happy to show you how Stonefly can help you protect your data and give you some peace of mind in this crazy world we live in. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Silk Typhoon, one thing is very clear. This threat landscape is constantly changing, and we need to be constantly adapting.
Yep. It's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing thing.
And it's something that we need to do together. We can't be, siloed in our approach to security. We have to share information, work together, learn from each other's experiences.
Well said. The future of cybersecurity really depends on all of us working together, being proactive, staying vigilant, never stopping learning.
That's a great message to leave our listeners with. Thank you so much for joining us today for this deep dive into Silk Typhoon and this whole world of evolving threats in the IT supply chain. Hopefully you found this episode informative and maybe even a little empowering. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we understand about these threats, the better we're able to protect ourselves. Stay safe out there, stay vigilant, and until next time, keep learning.